Hi investigators, Mike Evans from the Australian Security Academy with episode 258 of Spy Curious, the Australian Private Corporate Investigator Weekly News. I'm by myself today, so hey, please say hello in the chat. And we're going to go through a few things today. I was hoping to be presenting our Australian Security Academy Professional Development Awards this week. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to defer to next week because the awards didn't arrive due to the Easter delivery problems coming from South Australia. So that was a little bit disappointing, but nevertheless, we've got a lot of stuff to get through. A former Western Sydney Airport employee was charged over a $200,000 bribe in the last week. And all the information there is on Nine News, and you can see that and read about it. G'day, Chris. Great to see you, mate. Hope that coffee's going down well. Hi, Michelle. I hope it's not raining in beautiful Byron Bay. G'day, Jamie. Good. Thanks for checking in, mate. G'day, Jack. How you going? At the bottom of Taz. Thanks for checking in, people. Hey, next week, if you're in the southern states, we're going to be an hour earlier at the right time on Friday afternoon. G'day, Amber. Great to see you. Really pleased you checked in. Thanks, everybody, for checking in. So we've had that bribery in Sydney. So we were talking about tenders in Investigations Uni today. And one of the downsides of tenders is people do tend to try and bribe other people in relation to the winning of tenders. And it's not uncommon. So keep that in mind with what you're investigating out there, people. Sometimes there is bribery and corruption in that tender process. Here we go. Yeah, daylight savings, great. Don't know, keep it. Beautiful long summer days down in beautiful Tasmania where Jack lives. So I've had our bribery down in Sydney. What else has been happening in the news this week? Australian companies are being used in scams and authorities are struggling to catch the culprits, the ABC has said. They even interviewed one of the scammers. So this guy who went and had an interview on the ABC had a company in Victoria called Super Cheap Security. Now, I don't know if he ever was a security guard or he had a security company registered with the Licensing Regulation Division. I don't think he did. He had some house in the suburbs registered as his headquarters, and he would take investors' money and they would invest in his business, and then he disappeared to Pakistan with their money, where he would now be the richest person in Pakistan with $1.7 million ripped off from people who invested in his business. One such person was a lady who invested $500,000 from a divorce settlement. Now, she wanted that money back, and she decided to take legal action against one of the banks for allowing the transaction to go through so he could transfer the money out of the country. And she was ripped off in a scam, and that's awful. She was vulnerable at the time. She invested the money and he disappeared. Now, the lawyers who defend these kind of claims, they have no sympathy for scammers. They don't care. Right? So they represent the banks, and you can have a look and basically you can Google the head lawyer who was in charge of defending that lady's claim for the scam, and it's Andrew Eastwood. And he says, I recently had the privilege of acting for NAB in achieving a successful result in this matter. The case concerned claims by certain non-customers of the National Australia Bank who alleged that they were victims of a scam committed by the first and second defendants in the litigation. That's the person who was interviewed by the ABC. And he goes on to rave about what a great lawyer is and what a great outcome it was for his client. And he has like a cursory sentence of scams, of course, can cause devastating effects to the individual concerned. There continues to be a need for all parties in the ecosystem, including customers, banks, telcos and social media platforms, to be active in the efforts to seek to detect and prevent scams. So someone must have cut and pasted that on his behalf because he really doesn't care. He won the case for his client. And they don't care. So he defended the bank. She says she's lost more money as a result, probably had to pay the expenses of the bank as well. So that's not a good result for the lady who invested in that security company. And that was absolutely nothing to do with the Licensing Services Division of Victoria. Okay, nothing. They're innocent. First time, don't quote me. No, had nothing to do with the Licensing Services Division. If you've been watching the news around Australia at the moment, you see about the Molly the magpie was confiscated off a couple in Queensland in relation to being unlicensed wildlife carers. And the magpie and the dog in this picture were best friends. When the dog was born, the magpie was there, and there's all sorts of emotion and drama. You're going to be a compliance enforcement officer for wildlife or for the Environmental Protection Agency. You're the person that's going to go in and take that magpie or kangaroo or wombat, whatever it is, from someone who is not a licensed wildlife carer. And there are big issues with caring for wildlife, and if you are not licensed, because there could be cruelty involved with what the diet they're given, that sort of thing. One of the great tragedies around the area where I live, there's a lot of magpies and people feed them bread. And it's really awful to watch, because you see these young magpies have come out of the nest, and when the other magpies fly off, this one can't fly, and it tries to hop off with them. And its only way of keeping away from foxes and predators is to hop up a little low-hanging tree. They can't fly because of the diet of bread that their parents fed them when they were chicks in the nest, and so they don't get the right bone structure and that sort of thing. So it's an awful thing to watch, and this is what you as a compliance enforcement officer will be protecting wildlife from, in amongst all the emotion of what's going on in the newspaper there. It was so emotional that at one stage the Queensland Premier got involved in it. Former Paralympian was found to be drink driving, caught in the McDonald's drive-through, which was quite interesting. And the week before Easter is really a great time for things to go wrong. Coles stopped its cash out limit, halved it, because Armaguard services were having a little bit of turmoil. Armaguard have been thrown a lifetime from Australian banks and retailers for cash in transit. They needed government support to keep operating. Now, this is pretty weird, isn't it? They're a cash in transit company, but because over the last 15, 20 years or whatever, people are using less cash, and they're using cards and their phones and all that sort of thing. So that's a really interesting one, that what we're used to seeing driving around our streets, maybe in the next decade, something that we won't see anymore. Chantel, congratulations, Chantel, on graduating from the Australian Security Academy last week with your Certificate for Foreign Government Investigation. Really proud of your effort. Well done, Chantel. And great to see you. Thanks for checking in. Really, really pleased. I hope your certificate arrived this week. Now, this is important for all private investigators, particularly in Victoria at the moment. And it's come out basically from the building authority down there. Now, just got to get back to where I was. They're saying that balcony danger looms as the next big crisis for Victorian homes. So one of the things you're going to investigate as an investigator for general insurance investigations are veranda collapses. So what happens? It's the end of the school year and some parents decide to have a little bit of end of a school function with a high tea, excuse me, had some drinks and that sort of thing for the graduate students who just finished year 11 or 12 or whatever. And there's barbecue on the veranda and people are gathering around on the veranda and socialising. And all that weight causes the old veranda to collapse. And a lot of people get injured, and you're going to be the investigator that goes there, interviews the homeowner for the defence of that claim. So they're warning that it's coming up in Victoria. Is it limited just to residential homes? No, it's verandas in the buildings in the city too. So a veranda collapse is a common investigation that you will undertake as a general insurance investigator in any state or territory in Australia. We had a whole spate of them 20 years ago in Queensland. And what had happened was there was a whole lot of timber bought from America, and it was transported over to Queensland, and they built verandas and homes out of them. But the timber was harvested from the forests around Mount St Canis, where a volcano had gone off. and all the timber was naturally it was killed. So they chopped it down, said it was construction timber, shipped it to mugs in Australia who bought it and built places with it. And then with the tropical weather in Queensland, the damage that was done to it during the volcano, those verandas started to collapse and people were injured in the result of it. It wasn't always 30 people at a party. It might have just been one person or two people. So it's something to keep in mind in relation to it. Now, I really don't know what to do here. This guy, who was once implicated in the drowning death of his mother-in-law, was found to have forged a will of his grandfather's. Now, he has since died. And so after his death, it's been found out that he has forged that will. It's pretty strange. Now, he's Mr. Lacrix. How do you say that? Mr. Lacrix. I'm not sure. What am I supposed to say here, people? How does that actually go?
La Croix, sweetie. It's all right, isn't it? It's a bit tight, maybe. It's all right, isn't it? You know, people will think, wow, it's a La Croix. Okay?
Okay, all right. So he's Mr. Lacroix. So he was actually a forensic crime scene examiner. He was also changed the will, and there was some big suspects about him being there at the time his mother-in-law died, and at the beach in the Eastern Shore of Hobart. And he even had put in an unsuccessful application with the Supreme Court down there seeking a ruling to have coroner Glenn Hay removed from the case. Coroner Glenn Hay was my rowing coach in 1977. Leave him alone. Don't remove him from the case. He's a good bloke. Good on you, Glenn. Glad to see you, the coroner in Hobart now. You nearly killed me while we were rowing. Good on you, buddy. I hope you're well. And Chris is saying good day to everyone. Howdy, Reuben. Good to see you. Thanks for checking in. Yeah, so Glenn Hay, my rowing coach, leave him alone, Mr. Lacroix. Mr. Lacroix has since died. He put out a case against the police because he reckoned he was a victim of police brutality. One of the successful things they're using down in Tassie at the moment is with Crime Watch down there. They've got a couple of guys on bikes here talking to a lady, and they're seeking information as to the identity of the two blokes. Now, they're not in trouble. This is a typical private investigator situation. With their witnesses, they spoke to her before she was assaulted. They didn't assault her, but they had a conversation or whatever. So that was really interesting that the police down there have put out on their network that they're looking for those people. Now, we don't have the luxury of doing that quite yet as private investigators. We didn't have the luxury of a Friday afternoon program dedicated to the professional development, news and interest of private investigators up until 4 years ago. We've got one now, so you never know. One day we might just have something like that that's going to assist people who want to help private investigators with their inquiries. You don't know. I found that very interesting. People down at in Victoria at the moment, Vince from Your Call is looking for investigators. Now, what you've got to do is you've got to take whistleblowing claims over the phone. Next week on Investigations Uni, we hope to have someone from Your Call speaking to us about what whistleblowers do and how they go about it. So it's a job opportunity for you down in Victoria to take advantage of. So something to look forward to next week. Down in Tassie again, I can't stay away from my home state. A beekeeper made up a lie that $10,000 worth of hives was stolen after an insurance claim was rejected. So he had 10 beehives, which he reckoned were worth $1,000 each. There was a major rain event. Now, the insurance company knocked him back on the claim because they said it was an act of God, which is not very nice. God, you just killed 10 beehives full of bees, but that's what the insurance company knocked it back on. Now, the following month after the insurance claim was knocked back, he arranged, he put in a claim that they were stolen. So a private investigator was engaged to go and interview him. And during the interview, the private investigator twigged to the fact that this guy was not being upfront and honest during a record of interview. So it wasn't a statement, this is a record of interview. And the private investigator got some admissions during that, and he ended up being fined $1,000 and had a conviction recorded, the beekeeper, for making a fraudulent claim for insurance. Now, we don't like that as investigators, and we don't like that as consumers of insurance, because it drives up the price of insurance. So that's really interesting. Yeah, get them checked. Get them checked. It's not just white ants. It's weather, it's age. It's very true, and it happens, and it's awful. People die, and so others fall on top of the people and crush them, and it kills them. You've got to have that on your conscience for the rest of your life. Yeah, it is. It's not cheap, but I tell you what, it's more expensive if someone does have a fatality at your house with all the rigmarole that goes into it. I've never done a fatality from it, but lots of injuries. It's a pretty awful thing, those veranda collapses. So our beekeeper was fined and convicted of fraud down in Tassie. Beekeepers make an absolute fortune. It's really big business, and there is a lot of stealing of beehives all around the world. It's a big money business, so keep that in mind if you're ever lucky enough to investigate one of those. So that's some of the news headlines around the country this week that have been happening. As always, we'll have our jobs in a minute. Recently, we had Evan, who was the winner of one of our Workplace Mental Health Awards. Now, we're running mental health awards because it's not an easy job being a private investigator. You're working by yourself. There's very little social interaction with peers. You don't go into the office and have a chat and a laugh over the water cooler. You're working from home pretty well flat out all the time. And you might be doing reports till late at night because there's an urgency required for them to be in. And being aware of your own mental health is very important. So what we're doing is we're rewarding it with a little award that got held up in the mail and then a delivery for Easter, and I haven't got yet, but Evan's going to get his soon. And it's a beauty. It actually got your name inscribed on it. And we've had another entrant this week, and here's Sharon's entry for Mental Health Award.
This week's Mental Health Award winner is Sharon. She sent in the video of her hobby, and it's self-explanatory what Sharon's very relaxing hobby is. You are watching it right now. Down in beautiful Melbourne, Victoria, Sharon comes home at the end of a hard day at work and relaxes with her two best friends, who entertain her endlessly by play fighting and enjoying themselves. This week's winner of our Mental Health Award. Thank you for sharing it with us, Sharon, while you're chilling with your best friends. Well done, your prize will be on the way.
Good on you, Sharon. Thanks for sending that in. I really enjoyed it. The cats there are rooting into each other while you're watching and not interfering. It must be really relaxing. Great hobby to have. I'm not sure if Sharon breeds the cats or if they're just pets, whatever, but good on you, Sharon. If that's relaxing for you and it helps you to calm down, stop thinking about investigations and report writing and statement taking just for a few moments and chill out, it's worthy. And Sharon's going to get a lovely little boxed presentation with the name inscribed on it, and I'll show it to you next week. I know I keep promising that, but I'll show it to you next week so you can see it. There's an investigation administration role at M&A Investigations at Engadine in Sydney. Now, if you want to get into investigations, being an admin person is a great way to sneak in through the back door. And I guarantee if you're in admin in investigations for a year and a half, pretty soon you'll be in investigations after that, because the admin people usually always go on to become investigators because of what they see, and they see the really good statements, all that sort of thing. Brookside are after a manager, so they've been putting on quite a few managers down at Brookside. This one's on LinkedIn. That's where I found it. So Ryan Lysart down there, the owner of Brookside, is looking for a manager. Now, generally, people, all of these jobs that I'm showing you, you can see on our Australian Security Academy government, corporate and private investigation website. So that's where you go to see these jobs and see what's on. So you'll see there that the Pinkertons are after surveillance and factual investigators down in Melbourne. The Seeker Group are after factual investigators down in Melbourne as well. Basically, you could apply today. You'll start Tuesday afternoon with Seeker. And Quantum Corp are after investigators for CTP in New South Wales. All of those and more, I only put up 30% of them, are on that website. If you're a graduate Australian Security Academy student and you're licensed, you haven't got any work, send me an email and I'll introduce you to people that want to employ you. Okay, so keep that in mind. Don't miss out on it. You are watching, without Casey Pine present, episode 258 of Spy Curious. I'll come back to some more jobs in a minute, but Chris Goodrich, our chief coffee drinker, he has a hobby and he's won himself a mental health award too. So you know what Chris's hobby is? He likes to get out and take photos. And he's put in a little video for us from down in South.
See the places and do some photography. So it's a time for another coffee, and I shall check in, guys, later. Hey guys, just in McLaren Vale now. Just thought I'd give you a quick update. Unfortunately, they don't have any coffee, but they do have wine. So might go check that out and go for a walk in the vineyard.
Good on you, Chris. So Chris is going to win a mental health award prize too. He goes out and he does photography for a living, which is a great hobby for an investigator because it's quite complimentary and a lot of people do. Now, Chris did that video today down at the beach. Now, the really good thing here is Chris has now evoked a heck of a lot of learning for everybody that's watching today, because Chris's original video, and any video you take on a beach, is going to have wind in the background. Let's have a look at the original video that Chris sent in for his mental health award. And I'm not making fun of Chris. I'm taking advantage of the learning opportunity that Chris has given us.
And just down at Port Noarlunga, I have a workshop down at Victor Harbour this weekend. I'm just getting a start to head down there to do some extra photography.
So you notice the wind blowing into the microphone on the camera as Chris records himself. In the video that I showed you in the first place, that wind has been...
See the places and do some photography. So
now it's had a little bit of effect on the sound. Naturally, it's on the beach and it's on a phone. Okay. What I did when Chris sent that in to me, I subscribed to a thing called Descript, Descript. If you have a recording and there is wind in the background, or dogs barking, or kookaburras laughing, or roosters crowing, you can take that recording with that background noise, put it into Descript, click Sound Enhancer, and it'll take that background noise out. Now, it's not the original video or the original recording that would be taken to court. You'd take that one with the wind in it. But if you want to hear what's in the conversation clearly, put it in Descript, and Descript will even give you a transcript of what the person just said. So you've got the wind and the background noise taken out, and you get a transcript as well. It's very handy if you're doing a lot of recordings, audio recordings, not video recordings of workers' compensation surveillance, but audio recordings, and you need to hear what's in the background. And it's perfectly legal. All right, so keep in mind, Descript, it took probably 7 minutes to take that out. That's uploading it, letting it do its thing, and then download it. It's pretty instant, and I'm sure over time it's going to get better and quicker. And Chris, thanks very much, mate, for that learning opportunity for everybody here, and thanks for sending that in. and sharing your hobby with us, which is a great one, photography. Mate, you're a winner also of one of our mental health awards, and I'll have your name inscribed on it, and I will show people next week. So something to look forward to. Good on you, mate. I really appreciate it. That was a great learning opportunity for all of us. I've done that one. This is a great opportunity. Senior investigator for Tabcorp in New South Wales. And this comes with a whole lot of perks. Every Thursday night, they have an entertainment night with sports screens, TVs, free drinks and eats for their staff. So you can watch all the horse racing, all that sort of thing. You can go and see that job, how much you're going to earn and what's involved on our Facebook page. The Energy and Water Ombudsman down in Victoria is looking for an investigator. This is a certificate for and government investigation role. You don't need a private investigator's license here, but what you're going to be doing is you're going to be looking at who's ripping off the energy production system or who's ripping off the water system, taking too much water out of a river, higher up the river, so the people on the farms down lower can't irrigate because there's no water left and the platypuses are splashing around in the mud without any water to swim in. So it's a great role. Anything to do with water and energy as far as compliance enforcement, certificate for and government investigation will be the requirement, and you can see that on our website. AUSTRAC are looking for an enforcement investigator in New South Wales. Now again, you're going to need that certificate for and government investigation to do that role. A trainee factual investigator is required by ProCare down in Sydney, New South Wales, so get in touch with ProCare down there. G'day, Jamie. Great to see you, mate. Thanks for checking in. Don't forget, everybody wind their clocks back down in the southern states this Sunday night, and we're back to normal times next week. I'm really looking forward to that. Whoops. Casey will be back next week too. She's got some interesting stuff to show us next week when she comes back. We've got new certificates out for our CPD program. Our CPD program, you're going to find out next week, and we'll tell you all about it. You're now going to get through our Moodle system. So when you're an enrolled student at the Australian Security Academy and you have access to my courses for your Certificate 3 or your Certificate 4, you'll also have access to the relevant investigations uni presentations to get a certificate as well. Now, what's the difference between this one and our previous one? Well, this one, we have the little code reader thing down there in the left-hand corner, the QR code, which authenticates the certificate when you show it to someone. So you might show this to an employer or put it into a tender. They run that QR code through their system and it authenticates it automatically. You'll be able to do that through the Australian Security Academy Students Learning Portal, Moodle, where you go into My Courses and you'll see a list of all your investigations uni subjects there, time and event on 7 basic sources of information, and you do a short 6-point quiz on it and you get awarded CPD points. So that's all done within the Australian Security Academy's Moodle portal now. It's no different than the previous one we had at Podia, which has the authentication number on it. And you do not have to rush out and do all these, but we've just made it so it's easier to get. It's going to make a lot more units under My Courses in your Moodle program. That won't matter. You'll soon live with that. And Casey gives you a little demonstration video on how to mark them as complete as you go. In Investigations Uni today, Sean Delaney told us about the importance of doing continuous professional development and demonstrating that when you go for tenders. So we're just enhancing that and bringing it in-house. People, I'm really pleased with Sharon and Chris today winning Mental Health Champion Awards at the Australian Security Academy. Both of them took the time to share with everybody else what their hobby is and how they relax. You will see a lot of bitter, twisted, male, private investigators on social networking with their chakras in a twist because they just never chill out. And then they get angry on social networking, and that's their release. They really should think about getting themselves a couple of cats or a photography hobby or being a DJ and improving their mental health and be less angry, because they're only frustrated because they're overworked, which there's something we can all do about that. So I'm really pleased that people are participating in it. If you have a hobby, you have an interest, and it helps your mental health, it helps you to chill out and switch off for 10 minutes, for 20 minutes, for an hour, for 5 minutes, share it with me, and I'll make sure that you get one of our mental health awards. Quantum Corp are looking for licensed investigators in Far North Queensland. Ashdale Workplace Solutions looking for investigators in Brisbane. You'll know you've made it when you're working for Ashdale Workplace Solutions. So that is a really great, rare opportunity. Jump on our job vacancies page and get involved with that. That's everything I have for this week. We've covered the news headlines for the week, job vacancies for the week, our new system, and also 2 very worthwhile winners of our mental health awards to help people chill out and relax and share what they do. Chris with photography, Sharon with the cats. It looks like a great lot of fun. People, I'm Mike Evans from the Australian Security Academy. I'm going to go out in our usual way.
작전 종료. 전원 복귀할 것.
That's my mission complete for this week. If you enjoyed the program, give the video a like, please. Send in a video of what you do to chill out. You might collect stamps. I don't know. Whatever it is, great. Share it and help people in the industry understand that they're not alone and that they have options to chill out and enjoy themselves. Casey will be back next week to help us out on the program. She'll tell us all about the big news, where she was today and couldn't be here. Thank you for your participation. Thanks for checking in, everybody. I really like seeing your comments. I hope you got something out of that today. Descript. I don't know, I can't remember how much it costs, but you get a year subscription to it. It's very worthwhile, especially if if you want transcripts of recordings that you've just done or video recordings that you've just watched. Descript does all that. It even takes out the filler words like but, and, so, now, and, so. It takes those out so the transcript looks clean. And with a bit of practice, you can master it and use it. So really great of Chris to send in that beach video so we could demonstrate it, the worth of it. Good on you guys. See you next week. I'm Mike Evans from the Australian Security Academy. You just watched episode 258 of Spy Curious. See you next week.